Have you ever felt that something has changed inside you, but can't explain with words? As if an invisible part of your soul had woken up and suddenly the things that once filled you no longer made sense. If you are living this phase of questioning, disconnecting with the old routine, and an almost instinctive search for something bigger, perhaps what is happening to you is more than one phase. It is the beginning of your mission. Most people believe that spiritual awakening is the end of a journey, but the truth is that it is just the beginning, the true starting point. From that moment on, you begin to see with new eyes, feel more depth, and perceive signs that once passed unnoticed. It is as if the veil of illusion began to fall and the call became impossible to ignore. But how do you know if this call is real? How to clearly identify that you have completed your awakening and that you are ready to live the purpose that the universe, or rather the divine, reserved for you? In this video, we will explore the 7 unquestionable signals that reveal that your life mission began. No matter your age, profession, or beliefs, if you feel that something inside you are changing, you need to watch until the end. Get ready to understand why your intuition is stronger, why loneliness now brings peace, and why you have felt an inexplicable urgency to do something bigger in the world. More than an explanation, this video may be the missing awakening for your conscience to take command. So take a deep breath and come with me, find out if your mission has started. There are people who think that spiritual awakening is the end of the journey, as if it were the final prize of an intense search. But the truth is that it is just the beginning. When you wake up, it's not to be stopped. Contemplating the light, it's to act with it. This is where the purpose of life begins to truly reveal itself. What was once just intuition, now it becomes directed. You start to feel a subtle restlessness, as if something called you all the time. The old goals no longer shine so much. What was once comfort now seems to be prison. It is as if a superior consciousness pushed you out of the security zone. And however uncomfortable it seems, it is exactly this discomfort that arouses you for the movement. At this stage, it is common to want to understand everything before acting. But complete awakening does not require certainties, it requires courage. Courage to follow the inner call, even without map. Courage to trust your inner light, even when the outside world seems confusing. The action doesn't have to be grandiose, it just needs to be true. And look, there is no instruction manual. This new phase is personal, non-transferable, and deeply connected with its self-knowledge. What worked for someone else may not work for you, and everything is fine. The key here is to listen carefully to what your soul is trying to say, because she already knows the way, and it's in a hurry. A good exercise at this moment is writing "What can I no longer ignore?" It may seem simple, but this phrase carries important clues about your mission. When the answer comes, don't run away from her. Even if it seems impossible, it starts small. A post, a conversation, a more authentic choice. This is how spiritual transformation moves from the inside out. And yes, you will have doubts. You'll think if you're getting crazy or just dreaming too loud. But this phase is about trusting yourself, even when the rest of the world still doesn't understand. It is about recognizing that awakening is not about being special, but about being true. And that, my friend, changes everything. There comes a time when you can no longer pretend nothing has changed. You begin to see life with other eyes, as if you had lived at another frequency. This is the sign that the spiritual awakening has been completed. But how to know for sure? This is where the 7 signs that clearly reveal that your soul is ready for mission. These signs do not appear at once, as in a magic pass. They slowly appear, but each one brings a key turn. These are changes in the way of feeling, of perceiving, of living. You begin to identify society illusions that once looked like absolute truths. And at the same time, it more clearly listens to its own intuition. The first sign is to feel that you and the universe are one, that there is no separation. This sense of unit dissolves the lack of external approval. The second sign is full confidence in your inner voice. You no longer need neon written signs saying "go here." Intuition becomes your map, your sacred GPS. The third signal is material detachment. This does not mean rejecting money or comfort, but understanding that they are no longer the center of your life. The pursuit becomes an inner peace and life purpose, not by accumulation. The fourth signal? Find pleasure in the company itself. Peace in solitude is no longer a challenge and becomes a sacred refuge. The fifth sign is that people begin to notice something different about you and feel attracted to it. Your spiritual energy comes to touch those around, even if you don't even notice. The sixth sign is to see the manipulations of the world clearly. You develop a spiritual discernment that protects you from fear-based narratives. And finally, the seventh sign, you feel that you can no longer postpone your mission. There is a fire, an urgency, a so-called impossible to ignore. Even without knowing all the details, you feel it was time to act. These 7 signs together mark the beginning of their walk as an awake, ready to use their inner light in the real world. Do you know that moment when you look to heaven and feel it is no longer alone? It is as if the whole universe is listening to you, guiding you, conspiring to your advantage. This is the beginning of unity perception. You no longer see yourself as a separate being and recognize yourself as an extension of higher consciousness. It's not just a belief, it's a certainty that vibrates inside. This sensation does not come from books or theories, it is born of experience. Everything seems to make more sense, the coincidences multiply, the meetings are more significant, and even the challenges seem loaded with purpose. The idea of chance loses strength. You realize that everything is interconnected and that the universe has a love intelligence behind every detail. And with this consciousness comes a powerful liberation that of no longer needing external validation. You become lighter, less anxious, more connected with the flow of life. Stop fighting what it is and goes to collaborate with what is being built around you. The feeling is of peace, even in the midst of chaos, because inside, everything is aligned. A good way to cultivate this connection is to devote a few minutes of your day to simply observe nature. See the movement of the trees, the sound of the wind, the shine of the stars. It reminds you that you are part of it all. Practices such as meditation or silent gratitude also help to strengthen this subtle bond with the larger one. Over time, you understand that the universe is not out there, it is in you. Your choices, thoughts, and emotions are an active part of this cosmic dance. When you align with what you really feel, things flow. And when it tries to force what makes no sense, everything wages. The secret is to listen with the heart and act authentically. Living in this unit is like being inside a river. You don't have to swim against the current. Just trust in the direction and let your own life take you to where your soul needs to go. This is where a silent confidence is born, not based on logic, but spiritual wisdom. And that confidence transforms everything. There comes a time when you realize the answer you are looking for, it's already inside you. Intuition is no longer just a vague feeling and becomes a clear guidance channel. You start to trust your perception more than the opinion of others. That inner voice, once muffled, now speaks loudly. And the most surprising, she right, always. It is neither magical nor mysticism, it is spiritual sensitivity. When the mind calms down, the heart speaks, and he speaks wisely. You realize, for example, that this won't you felt before accepting an invitation was protection, or that does now that came out of nowhere, it was a divine push. The confidence in itself is born of this deep listening. But to listen clearly, you need to silence the noise. Therefore, reducing distractions is essential. Exchange the excess of news for moments of meditation, or put your phone aside for 10 minutes and just feel. It sounds simple, but that tune your connection with spiritual energy. Intuition does not scream, she whispers. And it is in silence that you capture what matters. Another practical way to strengthen this connection is to write. Yes, even writing by hand in a notebook. Write down questions you carry on your chest, and then register what comes without judgment. Over time, you will notice patterns, messages, subtle guidelines. This is a powerful way to develop self-knowledge and trust your inner compass. When you follow the intuition, life gains lightness. Difficult decisions become clearer. Right people arrive effortlessly. Which once seemed complicated, now resolved with fluidity. It is as if the universe collaborates with those who act on alignment. And the truth is, he really collaborates. When your choice is guided by the heart, the path opens. And even when the path seems strange in the eyes of others, you are firm. Because intuition brings not only direction, but inner peace. You know it's where you should be, even if you don't know how to explain why. This is true power to act with confidence, guided by something greater than logic, your own spiritual wisdom. At some point in the spiritual walk, the brightness of things begins to lose the charm. Not because they are bad, but because you understand that it is not in them that your peace is. Material detachment is not contempt, but freedom. You keep enjoying what you have, but it is no longer hostage to what is still missing. The focus comes out and goes to be. Greater wealth becomes inner peace. That feeling of lying on the pillow and feeling light, even if the bank account is not on top. This does not mean abandoning dreams or goals, but put them in the right place. Success is no longer quantity and becomes quality of life and soul. And that changes everything. The world will try to tell you otherwise, of course. It will push advertisements, trends, comparisons. It will make you feel insufficient if you don't have that. But when superior consciousness awakens, you realize that you don't have to follow this game, that you are complete with less. As long as what you have brings you to your truth, do not move you away. Want a simple practice to strengthen this detachment? Try, from time to time, donate something you like. An outfit, a book, an object. Not what's left, but what still has value. This creates a symbolic and literal space in your life for the new to come. And it teaches your soul that you are in control, not consumption. Another powerful habit is to observe how you react when something material doesn't work. A frustrated purchase, a financial delay, an unexpected loss. Do you go into despair or trust that everything is reorganizing? This answer reveals a lot about your degree of emotional detachment to things. And the lighter you are, the stronger you become. Deep down, what we look for with having is to feel. But when you learn to access this inner power straight at the source in you, the rest becomes bonuses, no need. And then, you start to attract what you need, without effort, without despair. Because your energy already vibrates abundance, freedom, and purpose. This is wealth of truth. At first, loneliness can scare. We grow up listening that being alone is a sign of failure, rejection, emptiness. But when the spiritual awakening deepens, you begin to realize that silence is a gift, that your own presence can be a safe place, and that there is something divine happening when no one is looking. It is in this space that you hear the soul more clearly. The masks fall, the noises of the world move away, and what is left is essential you. This is where true authenticity is born, not that mounted for the feed, but the one that blooms in the dark, in the heart, where only you and God exist. This peace is priceless. It is living healing. Many people still run from loneliness because they are afraid of what they will find inside. But if you bump into this dive, you will realize that what lives in you is more light than shadow. And even the shadows, when seen with love, transform themselves. This is the basis of self-knowledge. Stop running away from you and start listening for real. Want to cultivate this peace? Start with simple rituals: coffee with yourself, a walk without headphones, a moment of prayer only with the sound of your breathing. It is in this space that spiritual energy reorganizes, and gradually, you will realize that solitude is not the absence of company, but the presence of essence. This phase also reveals who you really are when you are not trying to please anyone, when there are no applause, likes, or validations, and yet you feel full. This is pure inner power. You become your own root, your own home. And when this happens, any company becomes some, never needed again. Over time, you even protect this space of solitude, not for arrogance, but for wisdom. You understand that your soul needs these moments to align, clean yourself, and replenish yourself. It is in this chosen silence that the greatest answers arise, those that come from their inner call, with direction, purpose, and peace. Have you noticed that without effort, some people start looking at you differently? They don't know exactly what has changed, but they feel. This happens when its inner light begins to really radiate. It is not about appearance or words, it is about energy. When the awakening is real, it transforms the environment with its presence alone. This influence does not come from the ego, it comes from the essence. You become like a lighthouse in the fog. It doesn't force anyone to anything, but it illuminates the way to those ready. And the most beautiful is that you don't even have to say much. Sometimes a look, an attitude, a careful listening. They are enough to touch someone. This is a positive influence on action. And don't think you need to be a guru, speaker, or perfect to have it. Your silent spiritual transformation already impacts. A life lived with purpose, integrity, and spiritual wisdom inspires more than 1,000 speeches. People awaken light people, and the world is thirsty for this kind of light. If you feel that people look for you more for advice, outbursts, or inspiration, it's a sign that your energy has changed. And now she attracts. But beware, with this influence also comes responsibility. It is important to maintain spiritual discernment, to know when to help, when to hear, and when to silence. Not everything is your mission to carry. An important practice is to keep your frequency clean. This means protecting your peace, cultivating healthy habits, and feeding your soul. The more you take care of yourself, the stronger the vibration it conveys. This is not about being positive all the time, but about being true, even in difficult days. And that, yes, it really inspires. Your presence begins to become a cure for some, confrontation to others, and awaken to many. Don't be surprised if some people move away. The spiritual energy you carry bothers those who are not yet ready to wake up. But don't change for that. Continue to be light, because every step of yours can be the key that frees someone around you. After the awakening, it is as if a veil fell from his eyes. Things that once seemed normal start to bother. You begin to see the illusions of society more clearly, the cult of consumption, the dependence on appearance, the manipulations for fear. It's not that you become rebel, you just don't be fooled anymore. This clarity does not come from anger, but from the superior consciousness. You realize how some messages are strategically placed to make you feel small, insufficient, out of standard. But now, instead of reacting, you observe. And in this observation is born spiritual discernment. The soul begins to distinguish what light is and what is distraction. It is not uncommon to feel out of place at this stage. Shallow conversations tire, superficiality suffocates, and you start to seek more true in everything. You start to choose better what you consume, with whom you walk, where you put your energy. Not for arrogance, but by consciousness. Because you know that your energy is sacred. A good practice is to review what you allow you to enter your mind every day. What do you watch, listen, read? Does it all feed your soul or weaken your spirit? A reading like Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Agora, for example, can help you get out of autopilot and live with more presence. This is the antidote against illusion's presence. You also start to realize when you are being emotionally manipulated. Advertisements, sensational headlines, speeches that use fear to control. Instead of getting into the wave, you break, breathe, and analyze. The mind is no longer reactive and becomes conscious. This is a superpower. See without arresting, feeling without getting lost. And the most beautiful? This clarity does not move you away from the world, it positions you better in it. You stop living in the repeat mode and start living in choose. Choose with more awareness, more true, more soul. And that impacts everything: your decisions, your relationships, your mission. Spiritual transformation becomes visible and irreversible. At one point, something inside you starts to scream not despair, but firmly. It is the so-called interior awakening for good. That feeling that you can no longer postpone what you have done here. You can't pretend you don't feel. Its divine mission begins to pulse urgently, as if time squeezed. This call does not always come with a luminous sign by saying what to do. Sometimes he manifests himself as restlessness, dissatisfaction with what once seemed comfortable. Other times it is an idea that pursues you, a cause that moves you, a pain you know can cure. What do these sensations have in common? They ask for action. Now, a lot of people think mission is great. It requires stage, crowd, or fame. But the truth is that your mission begins where you are, with what you have. It may be cure a family wound, inspire people with its history, or bring inner light in a heavy environment. The important thing is that you recognize this call as yours, and it's real. Ignoring this inner voice begins to cost expensive insomnia, empty anxiety, because your soul knows that it has not come to go through unnoticed life. And when you start answering this call, everything changes. Synchronicities increase, doors open, resources appear. The universe supports those who align with the very purpose of life. If you still don't know exactly what your mission is, no problem. Start by what touches you, for what moves you. Ask yourself, what makes me forget about time? Or if no one paid me, what would I do anyway? These simple questions often reveal deep truths. Spiritual wisdom is between the lines of the soul. And when you say yes, even with fear, the sky moves. The call requires no perfection, requires delivery. It does not ask you to be ready, it asks you to be willing. And gradually, you will understand your way is already set. What was missing was that you start walking. With faith, with soul, with confidence in yourself. The time has come to stop doubting and start acting. Everything you have gone through, all the pain, learning, and revelations, it was no coincidence. They were preparing you for this exact moment, the now. Because spiritual awakening is not just about understanding, it is about transforming. And transforming requires action, courage, posture. You carry an inner power that the world needs. It may seem exaggeration, but it is not. When you live aligned with your purpose, your simple existence already has an impact. Your look changes environments, your speech changes perspectives, your energy changes destinations. Do not underestimate the strength you have when you live with authenticity and soul. You may still be waiting for a bigger sign to start. But let me tell you a secret. The sign is this discomfort that does not pass. It is this fire in the chest. It is this certainty that you can do more, be more, love more. This is already the universe in action within you. The doubt paralyzes. The action frees. The tip here is to start with what is in your hands today. A gesture, a video, a conversation, a prayer. You don't have to change the whole world. You just need to be allowed to be a channel of what God has already put inside. And this is already revolutionary. Each step towards its active call, more light, more fluidity, more realization. Don't expect to feel 100 ready. No hero in history began with all the answers. They started with faith. And that is what is asked now, faith in who you are becoming. Use your intuition as a guide, your peace as a criterion, and your voice as a bridge. The world needs people who have the courage to be whole. So go, not out of obligation, but by conscience, not out of vanity, but for divine mission. Remember, you have not been chosen to be a spectator of your own life. It was called to shine, to influence, to release. Its inner light is ready. You just have to believe her and use it without fear. And now what are you going to do with all that woke up inside you? Because knowing that you have a mission is one thing, living this mission is another, completely different. The world does not need more informed people. You need transformed people. People who act, who choose with conscience, that shines without fear. And you were prepared for that. Look inside. What do you already know you need to change? Which step is being postponed for insecurity? What if today was the day when it all starts to align because you decided to trust? Awakening does not make you better than anyone. It makes you responsible for what you have seen. You already felt, you already understood. So, take a deep breath and answer to yourself. What did I come to do here? And what keeps me from starting? If this video spoke to you, subscribe to the channel. Activate notifications. Here we walk together with conscience, with truth, with faith. Because your awakening doesn't end here, it is just starting.